This piece of land allows us to grow row after row of corn, cotton, and soybeans. That's why, as a farm family of Mississippi, we do our best to take care of this land. Water conservation, improvements in soil health, and reducing our carbon footprint, all to grow the best products we can. It's just how we do things around here, providing for our family and yours, the farm families of Mississippi.
Mike, what was kind of the biggest thing that you think you and your guys kind of achieved on the bye week?
I thought we got a lot of really good work with the young guys. I thought that we got some good work on the fundamentals, and then I thought that I'd like to think we were able to rest some of our guys a little. We really don't have that luxury because we're not a real deep team. We're kind of one layer deep, and we have to keep our skill set sharp, and so the balance between keeping your skills sharp and also resting up, is kind of a tricky one.
Just to follow up to that, playing against Alabama, obviously it's always tough, but how much does playing them, coming off the circumstances that they are, coming off the loss to unranked opponent, Saban's first, I think it's 15 years, how much does that change things, do you think?
Well, I don't, the rankings are all out of whack. Anybody that thinks there's like 30 teams better than Texas A&M's out of their mind. But and someday when I'm in your position, I'll go right down the list and tell you which ones. But I think that you had two good teams play, and the home team won. And it's. John Wooden used to say, never be surprised when the home team wins. And then, but that's a heck of an atmosphere there. I love playing at Kyle Field, and I think that it's a heck of a place to play. Two really good teams played, and Texas A&M won. So.
Statistically, looks like Will has been protecting the ball well. When you throw it as much as you do in your offense, are interceptions like an occupational hazard, or what would you consider to be an acceptable number?
I don't think any are acceptable. Zero's an acceptable number. And then I think that, look, we got prowlers. Zero's an acceptable number, and you try to guard against them at all costs. It's kind of like, it's really the same as, when a ball carrier's got it. How many fumbles is an acceptable number? They happen from time to time, but there's no acceptable number.
You mentioned after the LSU game, you talked about LSU's level of recruiting. Alabama's obviously recruiting at a high level. When you play teams like this, is it more important for players to play above themselves, adrenaline, that sort of thing, or to just be consistent in the system?
I think you got to be disciplined enough to your best is always enough. You got to be disciplined enough to do your best, focus in, don't get discouraged, and don't get too hyped up if something good happens for you. It's the discipline to constantly bring your best effort and not get distracted by the highs and the lows. And I think it takes quite a discipline to do that. But I think that's the key. Nobody can play above themselves because that's above themselves, so that's not very possible.
Hey, Mike, how closely will you look at the tape from that Texas A&M Alabama game, considering you guys just faced the Aggies and won?
I couldn't hear the last part. Something about the Alabama. How close will we look at the A&M tape? Close.
Yeah, just how closely will we look at that at A&M versus Alabama tape, considering you guys just faced the Aggies?
Yeah. We've looked at it a bunch, and it's 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 a pretty good representation of them. One thing with Alabama is, watching a team that plays them to the wire. I mean, not everybody does, and so that's beneficial from that tape.
With Will, this would mark, I think, a full season's worth of starts for him. I know he's still a young guy, but what do you feel he's done the most this season to kind of make that step and at times look like a pretty experienced player?
Just improved overall and operates quicker. He's operating quicker now than he has.
Coach, it's been pretty clear that your offensive line has played good football the last two games, LSU and A&M. You think it's just a matter of those guys growing comfortable, playing together, chemistry, or what have you seen?
Well, I think they've logged, they still haven't logged very many reps together, but they've logged more than when they started for sure. I think logging reps together and just steady work and practice. And they are, they are a group that works and wants to improve. And so they're motivated, and I think that's helped too.
Having Scott Lashley come back for this year, how much has that helped the offensive line just to have a veteran guy like that coming back?
Well, he's not veteran as far as having played a lot, but he's just a talented guy. I mean, that's the one thing I got to thinking about Scott. He really hadn't played that much, but he's a real talented guy. He's got really good feet and moves well for a guy his size, and plus he's a massive guy, and he's a pretty smart guy, and just needs to stay relaxed and focus on the job at hand, and then he's pretty good.
What do you think of Bryce Young, based on your impressions? Another young guy, but what are your thoughts on him, and what sticks out to you the most about this Alabama team based on watching the tape?
Well, I mean, it's kind of like all the team, He's good. I mean, obviously he's good. He's the next good one. And then they just have a lot of players that are, they play hard, play aggressive, and, are just good quality players.
The wide receivers room is something that we've talked about. What are your thoughts on their progression and where they stand right now?
Ours or theirs?
Ours.
Oh, our receivers, total work in progress. I think we're improving, though. I think, we're improving. We'd like to improve faster. But I think we're getting better. I mean, we're more tightly synchronized than we have been. And we've developed some depth to the inside receivers. We got to try to find some depth to the outside receivers, and we just got to keep getting better there, really.
You mentioned earlier maybe with some players not wanting them to get too high in some moments, and if something goes well. With a team like Alabama, when they're going to make plays and deliver big blows, how do you kind of work on the flip side of making sure they don't get too down if something happens against them?
Now you just got to try to stay even keel, and that's you always fight that with a young group. But I have seen some positive things. I thought we did that through the A&M game, so that was a pretty good practice with regard to that. Also, that in a tough environment where it's tough to communicate.
Will took the lion's share of the snaps last season at Tuscaloosa. How important do you think that experience is, just playing the team rather than the helmet sticker?
Good question. I don't know for sure. I think, the biggest thing, you don't want to squander plays because of the helmet sticker, and sometimes you see teams do that, and, a team like Alabama is good enough that you can't afford to do that under any circumstances. So, you want to make sure you don't squander plays, reconciling that you're playing a talented opponent. You just want to, kind of worry about yourself and go do the best that you can and focus on that and consistently do that even, as the game has ups and downs.
Anything else? But right over here, you kind of talked about it. You just, beat a ranked team in Texas A&M, have done that since you've been here. What do you tell your guys as far as not really paying attention to the number side of a team, just to go out there and play your game?
We've done a decent job of that recently. I think just go out and play. Just so I guess what I said before, which it's boring and it's not fun for you guys to write about. So in most cases, you probably won't. But if you can just go there and be the best self, your best self that you can, and just lock into your job and do it the best you can, and don't get distracted by what might happen, because and everybody's seen it. All you got to do is, sometime on Saturday, just turn on the game, and there's some player comes frantically to the sideline. Okay, they did this. They did, okay, they did this, and then the cheerleader ran around the stadium 3 times, and then a Shetland pony came out and ate a hot dog on the 50-yard line. So then now what do I do? You got to eliminate all the clutter and just focus on what counts. And then the other thing is you got to trust the guy next to you to do the same thing. And if you can do that together, that'll put your best foot forward. That'll put you in the best position to execute a play. And you got to do it over and over. So.
Coach, most people weren't expecting Alabama to drop that ball game. I mean, how do you combat maybe your guys relaxing a little bit, saying, oh, yeah, well, this isn't the same Alabama team it has been?
Well, if we relax against the University of Alabama, then we are the stupidest team in college football. If we relax under those circumstances, we may have some very good qualities, and we may have some very, positive things and stuff like that. But you have to really be a dumb team to, relax if you're playing Alabama or anybody like. Really, our schedule, if you relax to playing our schedule, period, I can't think anybody you can relax on, at least not around here or coming up, So.
Mike, obviously everyone knows the legacy Saban has, Alabama, and all that good stuff, but what does he do from a coaching perspective that really kind of separates himself, having played against him last year? What did you notice that really separates himself and makes him such a tough coach to coach against?
Well, I've known him for, quite a while. What I've always thought he does best, I thought he evaluates. I think he evaluates really well, because he's in a position where he can get pretty much anybody, but I think he evaluates as far as which ones to take very well. And then the other thing is he's not afraid to, tell somebody no or push somebody hard, occasionally somebody will get some 5-star parade All-American, and then he's afraid to coach them. Coach Saban's not afraid to coach that guy and push that guy. And so I've always thought the strongest things he did was evaluate and push guys.
You mentioned playing as the best version of yourself. How difficult can that be achieved? How difficult can that be to achieve as a young team? And what do you got to tell your guys to make sure that they strive to get there?
I just think they got to clear their mind and focus on it. Obviously everybody has trouble with it, and we can have debates on the effectiveness of it, but we have everything from safe rooms to service dogs, and so everybody's obviously struggling with it, and life coaches and all the rest. So, but in the meantime, we're going to try to remove some of the clutter and go ahead and have the position coaches as life coaches and try to clear their mind and just get them to focus on what counts.
We'll wrap it up, Steve.
When you're in a ball game like this, how difficult is it to not do something out of character, whether it be fake a punt or go for it on 4th down under long circumstances? Is that kind of a prerequisite for beating Alabama, or how do you kind of avoid those emotional decisions?
Oh, I think it's tricky. I think there's a temptation, and you've got to resist this, like by players and coaches both. Sometimes there's a temptation to try to do too much, and you got to, focus on your job, have the discipline to focus on your job, and don't try to do too much, because if you try to do too much, then it just evolves into street ball. You're just like calling random plays, and the guy's just trying to anticipate, where the ball's going, just running a variety of directions on both sides of the ball, and everybody's just guessing, It's just like when you were, a kid out in the cul-de-sac or the backyard or in the vacant lot, and so you try to have it a little more precise and controlled than that.
All right, thanks, Jim.
All right, thank you.